Okay.
Welcome, ancient lizard people. Yet more drillers to the center of the earth, and wasn't there someone else here? This is episode 300 of an Unearthly podcast, streaming live on the 3rd of April 2019, and featuring The Hungry Earth Cold Blood, written by Chris Chibnall, and starring Matt Smith as the Doctor, Karen Gillan as Amy Pond, and Arthur Darvill as Rory Williams. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell.
Do you smell that? It's Baja Blast.
Tim the Enchanter Sheridan,
May the Force be with you.
and Thomas Fireheart.
God, we're not even in Torchwood anymore, and we're still stuck in bloody Wales.
Randy Ronson McCulloch will be with us later, but he has some last-minute things to take care of, so he will be joining us at some point during the evening, hopefully before we get to the episode. Or pretty much definitely before we get to the episode.
Definitely before they get to the episode. He had like
Yeah.
20 minutes left to catch up. So that should not take him that long.
So I almost was not able to join myself today. I woke up with a splitting headache, took some Tylenol, did nothing.
I almost decided against watching the episode today because I was so dang busy trying to finish my first review in like 3 months.
Luckily, once I had a solid meal and a strong dose of caffeine, one of them did the trick, and I started to feel more human.
Somebody's having them caffeine withdrawals. Someone's an addict.
Yeah, if anything, eating probably screwed me over a bit because now my sinuses are clogged up.
I
I'll probably have to talk in like brief, like it just my fucking like I'm sick at the moment.
Do
and
you
it's, like,
eat with your sinuses?
No, it's just that like I have. It started as a nasal drip. So what's happened is that basically I've got a buildup of mucus and snot in my throat. So when I eat anything, like dairy will make it worse, but just anything can really just make it worse. Just eating it all. So basically, I'll be talking in like short sentences, or there'll be like weird, awkward pauses, like just then, because I won't be able to breathe through my nose while I'm talking.
Welcome to my world. I've technically had one side of my sinuses that's been partially clogging and unclogging for like a better part of a month now. It's getting better, but it's still not done yet.
Yeah. Like I've taken some stuff to try and help with it, and it's making it so I'm not coughing as much at least. But yeah, eating is kind of just like screwed it.
Right. So normally we talk about the weather. Today we're talking about sinuses.
My sinuses are bursting your sinuses. I suffer for 8 months. Yeah.
So on tonight's show, we've got our news and birthdays. Do we have Geek Talk? It's not crossed out, but that might be because of behind.
I don't think we have anyone list anything yet.
I mean, if we need to,
is Captain Marvel from last week, or is that new?
That would have been last week.
I think that was last week.
So
somebody.
We don't necessarily have Geek Talk, but there is Geek Talk intertwined with the news if we have time, because there's definitely interesting things to discuss.
Oh, wait, no, actually, yes, that would have been this week, I think, actually, because I think I saw it last week or the week before, and I don't think Randy's actually talked about it yet.
Aha, okay. So
I don't know if he's seen it yet either.
Well, he put his name as talking about it.
Oh, okay. So that might have been an update for him then.
Then we've got the episode summary and, of course, our review, final thoughts, and ratings. So starting with the birthday, as I think Thomas mentioned, we're not talking about Torchwood anymore, but we're talking about Torchwood anymore. On the 28th of March, Gareth David Lloyd, known to Doctor Who fans as Yanto Jones, turned 38. Wow, he's relatively young for most of these roles.
I was about to say, he's only like about 4 years older
Considering
than me?
It's been about a decade since Torchwood, that means he was younger than I am now when he was
God, he's
acting in
younger
it.
than Freema Agyeman then. Holy
Mm.
shit, because she's in her 40s.
Yeah.
God, that's
On
weird.
Damn.
I thought they would have been the same age. That's so
Yeah.
weird.
On April 1st, Sidney Newman, the creator and idea person of Doctor Who, would have been 102, but he did die in 97 at the age of 80. The exact definition of what this podcast considers to be a good run.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
On the
Good
2nd of April, Robert Holmes, script editor during 1970. It just says 1975. I think he had more than 1 year, but I think he had multiple roles various times, so I'm not
Yeah.
certain. But he would have been 93, but he died in 1986 at the age of 60, which is substantially less than a good run.
Yeah.
Mm.
I blame the asbestos that was all over Britain at the time, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yes, that's most likely the case. And today, on the 3rd of April, theme composer Peter Howell, whose theme ran from 1980 to 1985, turned 71.
I like that one. That was one of the good versions.
And we have no lost stories, so I guess that brings us to the episode news.
Hooray.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Finally, a little news out of the Series 12 team. It seems Series 11 production designer Arwell Wynne-Jones has left the BBC to work on the Hartswood production of Dracula and Rules of the Beast. Replacing him on the Series 12 team is David Shermer, the former art director. This is a promotion for Shermer, as he has been an art director on many productions before, such as Sherlock, but it's his first outing as production designer.
Should be interesting. Lots of new goodies to learn.
And Hartswood is what I think it is, right? That's I believe that's Moffat.
Well, he was talking about doing a Dracula thing, so
Yeah, and looking it up, I'm not finding a Hartswood Productions, but I'm finding a Hartswood Films that it says produced Sherlock for the BBC. So yeah, that is Moffat's Dracula. So
the
still
company's
poaching
first
BBC.
production is Sherlock, so yeah.
But that means we've got one person leaving to go work with Moffat, and another person who previously worked with Moffat coming on to Doctor Who.
Does anyone want to work for RTD?
I'm not even sure what he's doing at the moment.
Because no one will work for them.
Well, I think he took most of his staff with him when he left Doctor Who anyway. They all went to work on, what was it, Wizards and Aliens? Is that the name?
That's one of the
Something like
shows he
that.
worked on. I remember watching the first couple of episodes and thought the show was fun. Kiddie, but fun. And no one else watched, so I gave up watching. I'm like, no one else is
That's
watching
cool.
BBC America right now? Fine, I'll just go eat worms. No.
So I guess we go on to awards.
Yay, awards. The British Academy for Film and Television Awards has listed the finalists for the category of must-see moment on television in 2018. The Series 11 episode, Rosa, has been nominated for the historic scene where Rosa Parks refuses to give up her seat. It is up against The Bodyguard, where Julia Montague was assassinated, Coronation Street, and Gail's monologue on the suicide of Aidan Connor, Killing Eve, where Eve stabs Villanelle, and the finale of Peter Kay's Car Share.
So I'm not familiar with any of those except for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know of Killing Eve, and Coronation Street is like a British
Like a-
Well,
Staple,
no, I like
but
yeah,
that's
like
all
I know of
know.
that title, but in terms of those scenes, I have no
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
It's in terms of what's going on in those shows.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like out of those, there's only one show I've never heard of before, and that's the last one.
Likewise, 2 episodes of Series 11 have been nominated for the prestigious Hugo Awards. Rosa and Demons of the Punjab are both on the list for Best Dramatic Presentation Short Form. They're up against an episode of The Expanse, 1 episode of Dirty Computer, and 2 episodes of The Good Place. The Hugo Awards will take place during WonderCon 77 in Dublin, Ireland, August 15th through the 19th.
I'd vote for Rosa.
I guess if nothing else, you got to give Chibnall credit that by allowing the writers to do those episodes, it's getting the show notoriety in this way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, I think Doctor Who pretty regularly is nominated for Hugo, so I don't think that's
Or at least one thing or another,
new
yeah.
thing.
True,
But
I guess.
it's good to
but I think
continue
it's
the
usually
trend.
like, I guess it's usually only like 1 episode, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's only 1
Like,
episode, so yeah, it is unusual
I think
that's
it's
more than
usually
1.
but I think on occasion it's been 2. I'm not sure if Moffat ever had 2 at a time, but I think RTD did.
Maybe RTD, but definitely not Moffat. I don't think the entire time we've been reviewing Moffat stuff that he ever got more than 1 episode in for the Hugos.
Now talking about the Hugos, does the link we have up, does that have any of the other categories? Because there's been some interesting news on the Hugos. I don't know if you guys have heard about it.
No, I haven't.
So
thing about how
under in the category of I think it's best related work. Not only has YouTube's Lindsay Ellis and her team been nominated for their Hobbit documentary, but in bigger news, Archive of Our Own, the entire website, has been nominated as a best related work. So that being one of the biggest fan fiction repositories on the internet, basically the combination of the programming and technical prowess involved in maintaining it, which I heard was pretty a significant achievement, although I don't know the details, and of course the works contained within it with themselves, which is what makes it a related work. So pretty big deal.
I don't know if any of us use that particular place, but it's possible.
I was wondering about that. I figured at least someone in our circle probably has, but if Randy were here, he could probably comment on that.
I don't even know if I've even heard of it before. So
I don't think I had.
I did see people blow it a little out of proportion in them referring to it as like the institution of fan fiction itself. AO3 was not at all older than fanfiction.net. It's only
I'm pretty sure Randy
10
uses
years
fanfiction.net.
But it's and I think FFN is still bigger, but it's on the same level, and many people prefer it over FFN. But it's.
So I'm assuming that means it's like more. It's like.
I think it's better organized from.
Yeah.
But I'm not really familiar with it. I've never used it.
Which I guess it wouldn't surprise me, because otherwise, like, you would think. I mean, fanfiction.net, to me, the impression I always get is that it's just like, here's a site, put whatever you want on it, whatever.
Yeah, I was not.
I'm assuming this other one is curated or something like that.
I had stopped publishing fan fiction anywhere other than my own personal blog by the time 2009 came around. But I know many people have published in more, in gathering spaces for fan fiction.
I've had ideas for fan fictions, but I've never really been able to sit myself down to actually sit down and write. I'm not a writer. I'm a video content creator at this point. I just can't. I get too antsy. I can't even sit and draw as much as I used to anymore either.
All right, so unless Randy comes and has more to say on that particular topic, if he has more knowledge, I guess we move on.
Give me 3 minutes.
Oh, he's here.
He's here.
3 minutes. Give me 3 minutes.
2 minutes.
And I hate all of you for having a fan fiction discussion without me.
we tried to postpone it. It didn't work.
Okay. Well, I don't have the Hugos in front of me to have 3 minutes worth of stalling conversation.
Well, I mean, we do at the very least we can move along and then come back to it.
Okay, so
there is like the
do
one
you want to talk
candy
about
jar
Candy
thing.
Jar?
Yep. Okay, so not resting after the last book in the Laughing Gnome series, in Lucy Wilson and the Ladeau Cadets, Lucy Wilson and Hobo wind up in 1937 and team up with a young Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart to solve the mystery of Redgate Smithy, one which will cost them dearly. The Laughing Gnome, Lucy Wilson and the Ladeau Cadets will release in late April, with the Lucy Wilson Mysteries, the Brigadier, and the Ladeau Cadets due out in the summer. Both books are now available for pre-order from the Candy Jar website.
Yay, Candy Jar. If Big Fish doesn't have something, they do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I
It's
just
always
noticed that they
weird.
interchanged the last 2 weeks. Maybe they're owned by
Yeah.
the same company. Dun dun dun.
It is weird that I've noticed that if we don't, it is kind of weird that if we don't have any Candy Jar, it's likely that there's at least something from Big Finish. And if we don't have anything from Big Finish, there's usually at least one thing from Candy Jar. It's
Mhm.
weird.
Strange and unusual.
So I think there has been times where there's been like nothing from either, and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, whenever that happens, we're just like, did the universe end? When did it happen? Who didn't tell us? Speaking of which, yeah, there's no Big Finish, so the next thing on my timeline is stopwatch.
I actually just added something, which it's not a new release, which is probably why it wasn't there, but I do think we should talk about it because it affects us. But yeah, I guess we could talk about that now. Actually, should I put it in the chat instead? I don't know if you have the thing open.
I have it open. I'm looking. I'm not sure.
Okay.
The price update thing.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for. Okay.
Because that was within the past week.
Copy link address. Paste it.
So basically, the deal with that is, and I haven't. Read
Actually,
the article,
we covered that last week.
Oh, but it happened the 31st of March.
Yeah, they had warnings all over their website last week, though.
Okay, so this is
so we very quickly mentioned it, but actually, since it's official now, we might as well update them that yes, they are updating how they are charging Americans in other countries outside of Britain.
So basically, we've been happy for years that we've basically gotten a discount on downloads because they charged us $5 instead of £5. Now we pay £5, and so does everybody else.
Yep. That's the basic roundabout of the update, is that we have to now start actually altering how much we have to pay, because it's no longer just $5.
Which they probably needed to do that to keep other costs from rising, considering in the past they've had to do things like raise shipping rates for international purchases and other things. So
they've done that, but also I believe they noted the fact that originally when they started Big Finish, their digital downloads really weren't moving that fast, even in much less in the country, much less out of the country. But apparently in the last 5 to 10 years, the digital downloads, especially from abroad, have been so big that they're just like, oh shit, we should actually update this.
I believe it. I would expect that since 2013, their listenership has probably ballooned.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a downtime for this series, I guarantee you there's people hungry for more, even if it's just audio.
All right, I'm free.
All right.
And Randy's back. Hello, Randy.
So have you used Archive of Our Own, Randy?
Yes, I actually have them published there as well as on fanfiction.net.
Okay, I was only aware of .net.
Yeah, I do have an AO3 account.
I had heard of AO3, but I was a little surprised when I looked it up today and realized it was only 10 years old. But that also explains why I had never really heard of it until other people started telling me about it, because by then I was not using other people's sites. I was only using my own blog to publish.
So, Randy, that means you're technically up for a Hugo Award.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
You are a Hugo-nominated author.
Great. That's something else I can add to my resume.
You and millions of others, I think.
Well, every now and then, the people behind fanfiction.net does something kind of stupid and cracks down on what can be published on fanfiction.net. or they will futz around with the back end code so shit doesn't work. And people get pissed. So things like Archive of Our Own actually show up, and AO3, as it's known to most of the people that use it, is probably the most popular one outside of fanfiction.net.
Yeah, it seems to be the most comparable archive.
There's even an AO3 viewer app for Android.
Oh, nice.
So
Much
there you
like
go.
fanfiction.net has its own reader, this one is more of a viewer.
Okay.
It doesn't have quite all the features. I particularly like fanfiction.net's ability to turn the background black and the text white, because that means it doesn't bother Erin while I'm reading while she's sleeping.
Yeah.
True. Night vision.
But yeah, I browsed through Archive of Our Own for a couple of things, and I'm still on fanfiction.net. So those are the two places where I publish at this time.
But yeah, that was the couple of things we wanted to clarify. But yeah, congratulations on your pending Hugo, Randy.
Yes. Bravo. Bravo.
Best related work.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The entire site.
The entire friggin' site. That means you.
It's up against a book on the golden age of science fiction by Alec Novella Lee, The Hobbit Duology, a documentary in 3 parts by Lindsay Ellis and Angela Meehan, An Informal History of the Hugos by Joe Walton, The Mexicanex Initiative Experience at Worldcon 76 by Julio Rios, Libia Brenda, Pablo Defendini, and John Picasso, and Conversations on Writing by Ursula K. Le Guin.
So basically, it's a battle of who has the bigger fan base.
Yeah.
To try and push them.
See, the thing is
Yeah,
that
it's YouTube
the
versus
campaign.
AO3 versus established authors, and
thing is, AO3 has like all those other fandoms in one place.
I am curious if YouTube is going to start throwing some weight around behind Lindsay, or if they're just going to ignore this particular nomination.
I don't know. It's a Hugo. Hugos have been pretty big deal over the ages. They're big science fiction awards.
Especially as less people give a crap about things like the Oscars.
Yeah. The
we're
Hugos,
looking for
or
a
at least,
replacement.
should I say,
for
less people in the fandoms that the Hugo gives a damn about give a damn about the Oscars.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard the phrase by Hugo Award-winning author on the cover of a dust jacket.
Right. Right.
How long has the Hugos been going?
Let's see.
They were officially named the Science Fiction Achievement Awards until 1992.
Oh, it looks like there are three Marvel screenplays.
And have been awarded every year since 1955. So, yeah, they're over half a century old for awards.
Damn.
They haven't always been called Hugos, but they've been around for a while, yeah.
And I mean, back in the early days, it was like best novel, best professional magazine, best cover artist. Because remember, that was the days of the pulp science fiction magazines.
What was that, 53 you said?
53, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been...
The 30s, 40s, and 50s were the age of
that would have been after Howard, sadly, so he wouldn't have gotten a Hugo.
I guess the peak that AUP can aspire to is best fan cast, but I think we're a while off from winning that or being nominated.
And yeah, 53 also had best new science fiction author or artist. Number 1 fan personality started in 1953. And then there was like best feature writer 56, best book reviewer 56, most promising new author 1956. So yeah, they've had dozens of awards, some of which don't run anymore.
Of course, because times change.
Yep.
And so has what the Hugos go after.
Yeah, like best professional magazine hasn't been seen since 1972.
Wow, let's say that the 70s killed magazines for Hugos.
So the categories for Hugos now are best novel, best novella, The difference of a novella is a novel has to be 40,000 words or more.
Mhm.
Novella has to be 17,500 to 40,000 words. And then best novelette, which is between 7,500 and 17,500, and then short story is less than 7,500 words.
What they have all those categories, but they don't have a best flash section.
Best series, or for series of works, for things like the Harry Dresden and Harry Potter would have been considered a series.
The entire October Day series is up for Hugo. I did not realize that. By Sean M. McGuire. That
is that for best series?
Yeah.
Yeah, best series only started a couple years ago in 2017.
I had not realized that she was nominated for that this year. I thought she was just nominated for a single work.
Ta-da!
Best related work started in 1980, works which are either nonfiction or noteworthy for reasons other than the fictional text. Best graphic story, stories told in graphic form. Best dramatic presentation, long and short forms. Best semi-prozine. Best fanzine. Best professional editor. Best professional artist. Best fan artist. Best fan writer. That's been around since 1967. And best fan cast for audiovisual fanzines. That's been around since 2012. And those are the current Hugo Awards. Those are the current categories. So yeah, and they give them out not all at once, so they don't have one big award ceremony. They give them out in small chunks during Worldcon.
Oh,
So they'll have like 2 or 3 of them one day, 4 or 5 of them the next day.
Yeah.
This is kind of amusing. I went and looked for Hugo Award pictures. This should particularly interest Bill, because as I was looking at Hugo Award pictures, I found this one. For those who don't know what that figure is towards the middle, that's Ultraman. Put it in general chat. That's a shiny little Ultraman.
Yeah, but the Hugo Awards are the rockets, because that's the rocket ships have always been the Hugos for years and years.
Battle for pop culture. Oh, interesting.
And the Hugos are given out by the World Science Fiction Society.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually done at Worldcon or something similar to Worldcon. I think a couple years ago it was down in St. Louis. Yeah. 70s.
I believe I heard it was in Dublin this time.
Yes. Last year's, the 77th or 76th Worldcon was in San Jose. And yeah, this one is Dublin 2019, an Irish Worldcon.
Yay, Ireland.
And they have been all over the place. Japan, Paris, they go all over the place. That's why it's a Worldcon.
Wherever the con goes.
Let's see. The 2014 one was in London. 2017 one, the one before the one I just mentioned, was in Helsinki, Finland. The 2010 Worldcon was in Melbourne. The 2009 one was in Montreal. The 2005 one was in Glasgow, Scotland.
Oi.
2003 was in Ontario, in Toronto. 2007 was in Yokohama. And before it was Worldcon, it was the World Science Fiction, which in 1957 was in Bayswater, London. And that was the 15th of those, and I think that became Worldcon. That eventually just kind of became Worldcon. So, yeah, World Science Fiction Convention, Worldcon. So, yep. So Worldcon has been going on since 1942. Wow.
Oh.
Damn.
Yeah, that's been going on a while.
Yeah, indeed. And it didn't leave the United States until the sixth one in 1948 when it went to Canada. And then the one in Bayswater, London, the 15th one was the first time it was outside of North America. And the one in the 2007 one was the first time it was held in Asia. And yeah, so it's, it bounces all over the place.
It grows and it moves.
Basically, it's one of those things where world in name only for a couple of years.
I would like to correct myself. There was a gap for World War II. So
that makes sense.
The third World Con was in 1941. The first one was in 1931, which was New York.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
you
then
got to
it-
make
and
a
then
gap for that because, yeah, things went crazy for a while.
Yep, 1939, 40, 41, and then the fourth one was in 1946. So yeah, there's a 5-year skip there while people were off fighting a war.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering too a little bit, and yeah, that'll keep your convention on hold for a bit.
Mm-hmm. And then, so yeah, and the thing is that they've all been given weird names. Like for instance, Worldcon 1 is called NYCon, and then the 1940 was called ShyCon 1. The one in Denver was Divention 1. And then the one that was the one after the war in Los Angeles was Pacificon. One God, sounds like a transformer. And then in Cincinnati it was Sinvention. So they just have a good old time finding weird names for this kind of stuff.
Because they're probably very disappointed that they can't use like DEFCON 1. So.
Let's see. There was one in Kansas City in 1976. It was Mid-Americon. One in Melbourne, which was AussieCon 1.
Which is kind of funny because I'm pretty sure there is like a con here flat out just called OzCon now.
Baltimore, Maryland, it was Constellation.
Uh.
Atlanta, Georgia, Confederation.
God, there are probably so many people looking back on that. And being like,
it was run by dads.
One that was in The Hague was Confiction. Orlando, Florida was Magicon.
Aye.
The one in San Francisco, Confrancisco.
Yeah, that's officially a dad joke.
Yeah.
Well, do you think they would have gone with San Francisco?
That would have been better. But you want to bet there is a San Francisco.
Yeah.
Probably is now.
San Antonio, Texas, Lone Star Con.
Yeah.
Lone Star.
Okay, so I think I said the original Baltimore, Maryland was they gave it a name and then apparently that was apparently something else.
Anyway,
Yeah.
do we want to get back on track because I believe you also have something else to talk about, Randy?
Yep. Okay, one more though before we go.
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 2001. The Millennium PhilCon.
Oi.
God help them. They need to be heard. Okay, I'm done now. I'm done.
Okay, I threw it into Google and San Francisco doesn't seem to be taken yet, so...
Okay, then...
God, patent the copyright that thing.
There's an untapped market here.
Yeah. Yeah, anybody wants to run San Francisco,
pay copyright royalties too.
Yeah.
On Unearthly Podcast. Anyway, so Randy, you want to talk about Captain Marvel?
Yes, indeed. Aaron and I went to go see that on Saturday. And we were by and large pleased. It started out a bit slow.
That's what I've been hearing too.
But once things kind of get to Earth, because it takes a bit, things pick up well. I really love Samuel L. Jackson in this, who plays a big role as a younger Nick Fury. Because he manages to do it without being, I'm Nick Fury, badass.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm Nick Fury, wannabe badass.
Yeah. It's basically like a buddy cop movie where he's the wacky one, in a way.
And
And Carol is the straight man.
and it's just absolutely great seeing that happen. What's his face? Coulson was in there, but he only had a few scenes as a young Phil Coulson, and the makeup they did on both of them was pretty good, but the stuff they did on Jackson was better.
I think both of them were digital. They didn't actually have makeup.
Well, however they did
I think it was kind of like what they did in Guardians 2 with oh my god, why am I blanking? Kurt Russell, where it was like a mix up of both. It was like makeup and digital like things.
It's whatever they couldn't fix with makeup, they fixed with digital.
Yeah,
it looked pretty good, and it was fully believable that it was a younger Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, and as I said when I saw it and was sort of parroting from someone else, is that it's not even just that he looks like a younger Samuel L. Jackson, it's that he acts like a younger Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, he gets his ass kicked so much in this movie. Because, of course, he's going in here, blue aliens, huh? Completely not believing it, and then, of course, he gets his ass kicked by one. It's like, oh shit, there's blue aliens!
And they're kicking my ass! I've had it with these blue aliens on this planet.
I have to censor myself for Disney.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Please, if we get a Deadpool 3 under Disney, Deadpool tries to convince him to make a fucking snakes on a plane joke. Oh my god, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome. But anyway, the movie, once you get into the swing of things, you're quite enjoying yourself. Which in the end of it is, I freaking loved the end of this movie. And I can sum it up in one word: Cat Thulu.
Cat Thulu?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a cat that you see in here that the aliens go, that's not a cat, that's a this. And everyone's like, no, it's a cat. See, it's a cat. Meow. And then later on, they're in the fight, and then suddenly the cat just suddenly sprouts tentacles out of its mouth and just eats people. And it's like, holy shit! You know. Later on, you have Fury using the cat like a gun. It's freaking great.
Oh, cat like a gun. Okay, I've been seeing that in like Gmod stuff recently. That's probably where that came from. Because it's like people running around with a cat using it like it's a machine gun.
And this has some origin stuff, like why Nick Fury is missing. And it's not what you thought it would be. Well, you know, you'd figured he'd had it shot out on some mission or something, right?
I thought it was just running with scissors.
That reminds me, does he have the healing factor in the MCU?
No.
Okay.
No, he's pretty much average human with
so if he
gimmicks.
doesn't have a healing factor, the origin of his lost eye isn't as big of a thing as it is in the 616.
Well, yeah, it's also completely different because I'm pretty sure Fury lost his eye in World War II in 616.
I think they've re-altered that a couple of times.
Yeah, it depends on which Nick Fury it is.
I think I've seen Howling Commando stuff set in the 50s where he had two eyes, but I could be mistaken.
Well, regardless, no, he lost it because that damn cat clawed his eye out. And there's a great scene at the end. It's one of the after credit scenes.
I'm not hearing at the end.
What?
You're getting into spoilers.
Oh, it's not a big deal.
Well, if Randy says it's not a big deal, then... Not a big deal.
It's just pure comic. I mean, that's
Okay.
all there is to it. I mean, they're just basically going silly. Now, if I told you what the cat swallowed other than people, that would be a huge spoiler.
Aha. Intrigued.
Although I will tell you that there is a scene at the very end of the movie where it coughs up what it ate. Because I'm watching that and we're like, oh god, I know that sound.
I guess what were your thoughts on the song choices?
It was okay. I wasn't overly put out by it. There was only one part where I'm like, oh god, they're going full Guardians. And that was the fight scene near the
end.
Yeah. Where they just start blasting the music. I'm like, okay, that was a little over the top.
I actually forget, was it that someone actually like bumped into a jukebox and then it starts playing, or was it just that it starts playing?
I'm pretty sure most of it, if it's like Guardians of the Galaxy, is just playing.
I thought it was just playing. I'd have to watch it again, but I didn't see anybody bump into a jukebox. But yeah,
because I remember thinking it's like some of these I feel like if it was just turned out it was playing on the radio, it's fine, and some do, so it's kind of funny because some are playing on the radio and others aren't, so it's kind of weird in a way. Because I think Guardians 2 only ever does that once, and in Guardians in general, it's only ever happened like once, and that's when they replay Chains, I think it is. The oh my god, like Fleetwood Mac song that they used in that movie. They play that once on his tape player, and then again it's just kind of there without being played.
Yeah. But, other than that, the rest of it didn't really upset me. I'm like, yeah, they're making appropriate references for the mid-90s. I mean, at one point, Carol's walking around in a 9 Inch Nails t-shirt. I'm like, yeah, that's about right for the era. The Nin logo, yeah.
It's funny though if they set this like, I think if it's set in like what 90s? Is it 95 or 96?
It's somewhere in there. You don't honestly know for certain.
Somewhere in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, because I think they do specifically give a year, but I just can't remember whether it was 5 or 6. But either way, it's funny because it's like 1 or 2 years ahead, and the grunge look would be like way out. So it would be kind of funny.
Even there, the fact that it's recognized as the grunge look means it's on its way out the door.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you, back when the grunge look was in, that was just the look. You didn't really give it a name. It was 1995, according to Wikipedia.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, there's also a flash forward that indicates that Captain Marvel will be in the in Avengers Endgame at the end of this month, or at the end of next month, or is it this month?
Yeah,
anyway,
it's end of this month.
Yep. So it's like, it's like they. I can tell you this one because it's not really that big of a spoiler. It's
weird because I'm not sure if it, like, because it seems like one of those ones where they've just pinched a scene from Endgame. Possibly.
It looks like it. Well, yeah, that's kind of what they did with Doctor Strange. The trailer for Doctor Strange got incorporated into Thor 3. Because it's basically Doc Strange meeting Thor in the Sanctuary, and then that whole extended scene was in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they gave it away as a free scene. As basically at the end of this movie, Captain Marvel gives a device to Nick Fury to say, "Call me because I need to go out in the universe and do shit. Call me if you need me." So one of the after credits.
Impossible.
Yeah, pretty much. Call me. Yeah, pretty much. But so then at the end of it, the after credit scene, you have them flash forward to the surviving Avengers using this device and going, "Come on, I'm not sure what happened. Why did it turn off? Why did it turn off?" They turn around, there she is going, "Where's Fury?" So, and then it's just she will be returned in Avengers Endgame. So, so now we know she's going to be there. That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, which is funny because they also released the trailer with her actually in it after the movie came out, because they were like, okay, now we can release a trailer for Endgame with her in it, briefly. It's like her interacting with Thor, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Thor summoning the Mjolnir and going,
Yeah.
I like this one, and that's it. Well, she just gives him the deadpan look.
Oh, that's what the cat was, a flurkin.
A Flurkin, Bjerkin, Gherkin, Birkin.
And they're actually from the comics. They look like house cats, but they possess cognitive intelligence and can lay eggs. Their mouths contain pocket dimensions used to store and hold almost anything. They can also teleport and summon tentacles with fanged maws from their mouths to attack and consume with. So yeah, I think they did a pretty good job with that. It's like, that's not a cat, that's a flurkin. And it's like, people are like, whoa.
That's no moon. That's a space station.
But yes, I do actually want I do actually want like a stuffed flurkin for the house.
Just you unzip the mouth and it's just giant hole. I guess we can tell Billy he can come back now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, oh my god, I actually caved in and I've pre-booked my ticket to go on the opening day for Endgame.
I need to.
Didn't...
Spoiler alert. Matt might be coming down here that last week.
Last weekend of the month. Yes, depending on how things go.
Mm-hmm.
By that point.
Oh dear God.
I should probably make sure I get to Captain Marvel before Endgame comes out.
Yes, because yes, I had just told them. An end credit scene basically says at the end of it, Captain Marvel will return for Avengers Endgame. So that means that yes, there's going to be that stuff in there will lead up to Endgame, at least the last few minutes. But I don't think it's overly important, other than the fact that you know who Captain Marvel is.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like giving you a movie to get used to her rather than just dropping her out of nowhere.
You mean like Justice League did, with half of its characters?
It's so funny because I feel like with Justice League, it's almost as if you could just have just start there. Because like the funny thing is, like, if you look at like the animated stuff, you watch Justice League War. That's basically the first incarnations of those characters meeting each other, and it works. And it's an animated movie that's shorter than Justice League, and it works better. So it's like, Jesus. You think they'd take like notes from their own shit. But
well, it's just like the CW verse works so much better than the movie DC verse.
Of course, I'm still one of those people who are like, well, if you're gonna basically crib Avengers 1 anyway, then why the hell didn't you make Starro the villain, you assholes? If you're gonna rip off anything the MCU's doing, could have had them face their first enemy. But maybe that's just me, because I'm like, we've had friggin' Ego the Living Planet from Marvel now, so just as far as I'm concerned, everything is up for grabs. You can just go as insane as you want. We've had a sentient fucking planet. Give me giant starfish from outer space who can mind control people.
I'm waiting till the MCU takes a crack at Galactus.
They can now.
It will. I honestly, as much as I would have liked him to be the next build-up villain, I can see why people are like, yeah, it's actually probably a better idea to lower the stakes.
I doubt they're going to
go
use the Kirby design, but I also don't think it's going to be a fucking cloud.
No, if it's a fucking cloud, I'm walking out of the theater.
It better fucking be what he looks like from the comics, or I'll be pissed.
I don't think it's going to be the Kirby design either. I think they're going to redesign him.
Oh, I think they're going
So
to
long
redesign
as
them, but
he's
he's
just
going to
a
definitely
giant
keep Kirby
dude.
elements because
Are
they've
they
been
going to
keeping
have-
Kirby elements for a while now.
Are they going to have him
Mm.
voiced by George Takei, however?
No, sadly not.
Because that's who
Probably
voiced
not.
him for the Superhero Squad show.
Ah,
It was like I heard that and I'm like, oh my god. So wrong.
George Takei wants to eat the world.
Oh my.
Of course, now I wonder how they would actually introduce Silver Surfer if they, because I'm assuming they'd do that
Mhm.
first.
I'm of the
that-
opinion that he'll be introduced in Guardians Guardians 4. Well, I don't know if they're going to do a Guardians 4, but
Well,
if they
I think
do.
the idea was Gunn only wanted to do 3 and then
Mm-hmm.
was going to like hand it off to someone else to do
But-
a new team.
but-
Oh no, that's it. I think it's like the first 3 were going to be this team, and then it was going to be like something else. So
But-
maybe like the Stallone
But-
team.
But
or
what I
something.
mean is, by my understanding, they're not doing, at least by that title, Iron Man 4, Cap 4, Thor
Oh, yeah.
4.
I would assume if we ever get like Thor 4, Cap 4, whatever, it'll be different characters
Mhm.
taking up the mantles. Which
Depends.
would make the most sense.
Although it does seem like Hemsworth would want them to keep going with Thor as a main character. So
He just
Mm.
has a blast.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just want, if Thor sticks around, I want him in a Guardians movie. I really do.
Don't know if he's
They
actually
should-
part of the
I mean-
Guardians.
Ragnarok, if anything, was teasing Thor in a Guardians
Mm.
movie.
Well, in a way, even Infinity War was, because that's mainly who he interacts with.
I mean, that would
True.
also be the perfect movie to introduce Beta Ray Bill.
At this point, I just want to see a decent Fantastic Four movie.
Yes,
Well,
please.
yeah, that I think is going to be something they're thinking of for the for
Mhm.
the next couple phases of the MCU. Is
I-
how to
Mhm.
how to bring the Fantastic Four in properly.
Mhm.
And
I would honestly be,
how long
I would
they
honestly
really
be
need
up
to
for them.
go before they reboot the X-Men.
Mhm.
I would
It-
honestly be up for them waiting until the next Avengers movie to bring the Fantastic
They've
Four
been
in.
sitting on the license long
I-
enough. How about we properly bring in the rest of the Ghost Riders?
I kind of think the F4 should be brought in the Spider-Man 3 post-credit scene.
That might be the
Or at
way
least,
to
like-
do it.
At least Johnny, if
Mm.
they don't want to if they don't want to cast them all before then.
That's true, yeah.
That depends on if they decide to do a Spidey and Deadpool. Because I
Mm.
think they've said of all
Ah.
the X-Men titles,
Mhm.
the only one that's moving forward and not getting a reboot is Deadpool.
But would they want their most kid-friendly superhero, the most kid-friendly current superhero? I know Kamala's coming later, but would they really want him and their R-rated superhero to be in a movie
Yes,
together?
Well,
Like,
that's
because
just it.
from a
Deadpool has
marketing
admitted that he's
standpoint?
suddenly getting censored in the comic books. It is actually
Yeah,
legit a
like-
thing. He's just like, why am I not able to do the stuff I'm normally able to do?
I
And
know,
just
but
looks at it
I'm
off the
talking about
panel.
from
It's you, ain't it?
from a Disney
I-
movie producer standpoint.
Well, I think that's the
I
only
could
other way they
see-
could do a PG-13 Deadpool again. Would be
Yeah.
to do it Spidey.
I
and-
also think that's the only way that Ryan Reynolds would be up for it. Because with this one, he had to be like, well, okay, then you've got to give proceeds to charity, and
Mhm.
or you've got to do this, this, and this
Mm.
for him to actually agree to it. So I feel like a Spidey crossover is the only other way he's going to be like, okay, I'll do it.
Mhm.
I'll turn it down just to do a Spidey crossover.
I also think Kamala is basically the PG Deadpool. So
Kinda, sorta.
I think when she
she's
comes
not
out,
as fourth
the
wall,
smart
though.
thing to do would be to run that way.
Hmm.
Because I mean,
No.
she's like with
No,
her
'cause
whole
the-
like
the-
Instagram selfie shtick.
That's not
There's the-
Deadpool.
Yeah, that's not Deadpool, and trust me,
I was gonna say, I'm
there's a whole
thinking-
bunch
No, I'm
of
saying
fan
in terms
base-
of fourth wall.
there's a whole
The
bunch
only-
of fan base that's going, come on, Spidey Pool. Because yes, they did do a team up stint in the comics.
And by the
Mhm.
way, if they do
Mhm.
Kamala, they have to bring in the third writer at that point.
They also have done I know I've seen, I don't remember which cartoon it's from, but I know I've seen Spidey Pool stuff in at least a Spider-Man cartoon.
Yes.
I don't remember which one. And it was obviously
I
a
want to say it was
PG.
spectacular, but don't quote
Deadpool.
me on that.
Like there's like the only clip that I can remember is like Spider-Man being like, booby traps or something, and Deadpool starts laughing. He's like, traps. Which, like, these
damn
days
it.
could mean something else, but, the idea is you expect him to laugh at boobies or something.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But he laughs at traps.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Now people probably would think that was what they were going at because some people don't listen for the context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Alright.
Anyway,
Anyway, I highly recommend you go see Captain Marvel while it's
yeah,
out.
that conversation wound and wound.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, hey, we got talking about Flurkins and a few other things, but yes, it is a very good movie. It has more of a feel-good vibe, I think, than Wonder Woman did. Although
I
it
can probably
doesn't
see
start out that way, but just the addition of the Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury as the tag-along sidekick.
Which I guess is one last question. The problem I have with Wonder Woman these days is the whole falling apart in the third act. Do you feel that this suffers the same problem or not?
Oh no. The third act was fine.
Mm.
The first act was slow.
Yeah.
Everything that happened on the Kree homeworld was kind of slow and boring, and everything, and then they get to Earth,
Yeah.
and pretty much the second you have Fury and Coulson going into a blockbuster looking for the woman who crashed through the roof. Yeah, that's where things get good. Also,
Yeah.
it kind of has me looking forward to Men in Black International.
I was gonna say the way you said that, I immediately had Men in Black flashbacks.
Yeah.
God, I can honestly say I'm mainly looking forward to Men in Black International because it's
is the
basically Thor Ragnarok.
Is the structure anywhere as close to Highlander as I picture it from the way people describe it, or no?
No.
Okay.
There were not a lot of overt flashbacks, like going back, because she's basically starts out amnesiac.
Right.
So every now and then there's a scene that will get you little itty bitty mini flashbacks, but it's not like she's
going into a full story from her past. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like exposition. It's just it happens.
Mm-hmm.
We're not delving into it for 5-10 minutes and then coming back. No. This is a quickie and now.
And a couple places where she'll look and she'll kind of see like memory ghosts of like knowing she's been there before, but she's only getting kind of little flashes. So that's kind of interesting. There is one major one, but that's where there's a scene where she's captured by a group that's basically trying to read her memories to look for something. So that's where you get to see the most flashback in one point. But then you have the over narration going, wait, no, that's not it. Go back.
Yeah.
That's the worst of it. But yeah, I find it to be very enjoyable. The third act. The only part is by the end of the third act, she's basically doing Superman levels of stuff.
Well, I mean, to be
so
fair,
she basically full binary.
You would have to see it. I said to Aaron, the power that she the special effect for the power she has at that point, that's pretty much what Fox needed to do to portray a proper Phoenix Force. I'm like, holy crap, yeah.
I don't necessarily consider that a spoiler because you could kind of see that in the trailer.
Yeah. And the funny thing is like, she has to essentially, along with Thor, take the place of Adam Warlock. So at least that's my assumption anyway, is that she's going to be one of the people that she's in there to help make up for the fact that we won't get Adam Warlock in time.
But anyway, if you're planning on watching Avengers Endgame and you don't want to know who is this chick, you got to go back and you got to watch Captain Marvel. And then smack yourself for referring to her as a chick. One thing is when she gets her memory back, she does have a little bit of the Melissa Benoit Supergirl vibe going, personality-wise, but I actually kind of enjoyed that. Yeah, but yeah, definitely go see it if you're planning on seeing. We're like
Mm.
20 movies into the MCU now.
I
25?
think this was the 21st, and Endgame is the 22nd.
Either way, we're pretty much
Wow.
confirmed at this point that we're going to be sucking down these movies till the end of time.
Either that, or until they actually finally stop making all the money. Which it'll take. I feel like it's so funny because Star Wars took like what, a couple of years for there to be like, for it to finally like catch up on people and be like, whoa, one a year is way too fucking many. Marvel can release 3
Well,
a
I mean,
year
it wasn't
within
even that it was
6 months
one a year;
time.
it was
So
2 in less than 6 months. Was the problem?
right,
Okay, so
yeah.
I mean, you could argue that the MCU started in 2008 with
Mhm.
Iron Man, which means we've been having these movies for 11 years now.
Jesus, it just occurred to me the only year they missed was 2009. There was
Yeah.
nothing in 2009, and
But
then
but
pretty
there were
much
2 in
at least
2008,
one.
right?
Yeah,
Uh,
Incredible Hulk,
Mhm.
and they were like a month apart.
Yeah. Well, at that
May
point,
June.
at that point, it was a coincidence because they weren't really fully thinking cinematic universe at that point.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Although they were
Mm.
trying to hint at it.
because they weren't prepared for how well Iron Man took off.
Mm.
Because Iron Man then just went whoa,
Yeah,
and the
it's
Incredible Hulk
actually.
movie was an apology for 2003's Hulk
Mhm.
movie.
Yeah, basically.
Even though I must admit, I haven't seen it in forever because I just kind of ignore it, because when they recast Mark Ruffalo, I was like, yep, Incredible Hulk in my mind is no longer canon. The only like two things. Well, actually, no. The only thing that I can recall being mentioned since relating to that movie is that Thunderbolt Ross is the same actor, and that's it.
Yeah,
William
Ross is
Hurt.
the same actor in all those movies.
William
Yeah.
Hurt, the King of Bland, but he does a great job as Thunderbolt Ross.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
he's an
Hmm.
impeccable Ross every time he's on screen.
thing is, I actually liked Edward Norton's Bruce Banner better than I like.
Also, wasn't with Ross wasn't also Samuel L. Jackson in there as at
No,
the
I
very
think
end?
I think the post-credit scene was Tony Stark talking to Thunderbolt Ross.
Do you think?
Oh,
Do you
was it
think they
Tony?
kept this? Do you think they kept the same Ross to eventually bring in Red Hulk?
I have no
I
idea.
honestly,
That's a
that'd be fun.
possibility.
That would be fun. I honestly want the Thunderbolts at some point. I know jack all about them, but it's like, well, I mean, you've got him there, and you have Zemo still running around somewhere. So
But
do the
okay,
Thunderbolts.
so pretty much 2008 to 2012, 4 years was the first phase of the MCU. Iron Man 3 started the second phase in 2013, a year later, so they took a year off. And the final phase of that one was in July 2015. And that was with Ant-Man. We are currently in phase 3, which started in May of 2016 and will be ending at the end of this month with Avengers Endgame. And the only phase 4 movie that's been fully announced thus far is Spider-Man Far From Home,
Quick
which
note: 1
starts
hour.
2 months later.
I really think that Far From Home should have been in like September or something.
Yeah.
Quick note: 1
Like
hour.
yeah, because like Endgame, there should be. I feel like there should be a gap. I mean, I figure that Far From Home is where it is because it's like, well, you need something to like bring people back up after the emotional gut punch that Endgame's going to be. The same way there was Infinity War, and then there was Ant-Man and the Wasp. It was like, hey, here's a fun movie.
Here, let us kick you in the dick for this movie. And then we're going to give you a fun Spidey movie 2 months later. Oh yeah, and you
Uh,
can and in the meantime you can go watch that Fox movie about the X-Men because it's the last one you're ever
Which-
going to get from that universe.
Which might be why they keep giving us teenage Spidey, because eventually, if they let him age, they're going to have to give us emo. The world is awful, Spidey.
Not if they write them properly. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not like
Yeah.
we're totally devoted to what's in the comic books. Because believe me, there's some
Mhm.
stuff you want to leave out.
Yeah, I mean, hell, look
True,
at
I
as
just
I,
like
If-
that's
if-
such
I
a
swear to
major
God,
part
if
of
we
his
do one more
character.
day in the MCU, I'm gonna punch somebody.
no, fuck off.
Oh, no,
Like,
no, no, that-
please,
I'm not
God,
even-
no.
I'm talking about like '90s Spider-Man.
Oh, yes.
90s Spider-Man wasn't that bad, although he had his issues.
There were times.
Like, I remember like when he went around saying, "I'm the spider. I am the spider."
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
Who remembers the '90s Spider-Man cartoon?
I do.
I would like to think that everyone here does.
Yes.
It was
Spider.
theoretically in the same universe as the X-Men animated series cartoon.
They
It's
crossed
more
over
than
a few
theoretically.
times.
They
crossed
crossed over
over
a couple
of
times. They also had
Oh.
a couple cameo from like War Machine and stuff.
hmm
Is that the one that has that clip that Linkara uses occasionally where he's like, this sounds like a bad
That-
comic book plot?
Yes.
By my understanding, that's from the finale.
Mm.
From one of the finales, possibly. Yeah. They always had a finale every season for Spider-Man.
Well, I mean, like the series finale, which was basically the first version of Into the Spider-Verse.
I don't know about that. I would have to look because again, that one for multiple years, and I'm pretty sure there was a couple times he could have said that very
Oh
easily.
God! Apparently, Disney is going to force us to get Disney Plus because apparently Loki is getting his own limited series.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
So that is live action then?
Yeah, it's Tom
Oh,
Hiddleston.
Tom
the
Hiddleston's back
budget
as
for
Loki.
that's going to be out the ass.
Well,
That'd be why it's a limited series, I would assume, because they're probably going to
it's official, folks. Disney owns your soul.
I think there's supposed to be a Vision and Wanda show as well.
Yes,
We're an hour
and
7, by the way.
As of yet, untitled Falcon Winter Soldier series, all coming to Disney Plus, all starring the full on MCU characters. So they're
See, that I can actually kind of get behind, because like characters like Falcon and that, who are most likely not going to get top billing, I would at least like to get their own
But see,
stuff in TV
Falcon and
form.
Winter Soldier is kind of what was expected to be instead of Cap 4. So now what?
I mean, part of me wants Falcon to just become Cap for a while. Anyway, just because I mean, well, they've done it in the comics. Why
it
not?
doesn't mean that they can't have a limited series and then have it happen in a movie in 2020 or 2021.
I mean, part of me also wants the next Black Panther to involve Rhodey and Falcon, just because that could be fun. Have them hang out with other black people.
Oh,
should we go
okay,
on to the
guys,
summary
we've been
now,
rambling
or-
long enough. Yes. For crying out loud, I've been telling you for like the last 5 minutes we're running over.
All right, so let's go ahead and start the summary, which I believe is me.
Mm-hmm.
Joy summary.
Do you have the stopwatch up?
Close these couple windows and stopwatch is ready.
All right, give me a moment because I'm closing Windows too. All right, give me a countdown.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so we start this two-parter with basically a drill site, which is happy because it's just hit 21 kilometers, the deepest anyone's ever dug before, though I do remember several previous episodes of classic Doctor Who that would contradict this. As the night shift takes over, the weird kind of vibration occurs. One of their camera goes out, and the night shift guy goes to investigate and discovers a sinkhole in the building's floor, which then proceeds to swallow him. A little bit later, apparently the next day or two later, the TARDIS shows up with the Doctor, Amy, and Rory, who were thinking they were going to Rio, but instead they're here, which is apparently the future, around 2020, I think they said. Something like that.
Yep.
I believe so.
They, first of all, they're a little freaked out because they see themselves waving at them from a hillside. But then they get involved in the plot. The Doctor thinks the ground feels wrong, sees some blue grass, which shouldn't be there, and then eventually gets himself caught up in this drilling project, which seems to be going wrong. Meanwhile, Rory, who had gone to put Amy's engagement ring back in the TARDIS, accidentally gets mistaken for a CSI coming out of the police box, and is basically rounded up to ask how people are disappearing from the graves without them being disturbed. Well, as the Doctor soon figures out, there's something coming up from below the ground, and it's swallowing people, as it then proceeds to swallow Amy. And then, as later on, it swallows a kid. Well, the Doctor, of course, is not happy about this. So eventually, he goes in the TARDIS with one of the other people. Oh, wait, before that, they do manage to capture one of these people whom he recognizes as a Silurian, albeit a little different looking from the one he dealt with way back in the 70s. So he gets in the TARDIS with one of the locals and goes down there. Meanwhile, the people still above manage to try to keep a very careful guard on the one they have, who turns out to be exceedingly hostile. Have we seen this plot before? Yes, we have. She's managed to poison one of them, and in order to try to interrogate her for the cure to the poison, winds up basically getting what sounds like tasered to death. Meanwhile, not knowing about this, the Doctor goes down below with this and basically discovers he's in a huge freaking city filled with thousands or possibly millions of these Silurians. He is quickly captured and manages to talk to the local scientist and get on his good side. Unfortunately, the military commander sees this as an invasion and wants to have them executed. The scientist then goes and wakes up the Elder, who is still in hibernation, and basically the Elder manages to talk the war commander down, or at least so he thinks, as he basically sits down with the humans to negotiate a treaty. The military commander goes on and starts waking up her army. It doesn't help that the person on the surface was her sister. Rory and the group from the surface come in carrying the body of the Silurians, and that's where things go pear-shaped. As the military commander sees this, goes even more nuts and basically wants them all shot dead and wants to invade the surface and kill all the apes because, of course, sees them as a lesser life form because, of course, all aliens are inherently racist. The Doctor and them manages to escape to one area where they decide to fix this issue by causing, some kind of toxic gas
Yep.
to go through, and that would force these guys to go back into their pods. And they set that up and plan to decontaminate the one infected guy. However, they don't get that process started in time, and he elects to remain behind along with his wife, who had been looking like something like this her entire life. They remain behind. Everybody else gets back to the TARDIS, gets in, but then the Doctor notices the big-ass crack that kept being seen this season, and of course tries to pull something out of it, and manages to. However, before they can get back to the TARDIS, the commander shows up, poisoned by the toxic gas, and manages to shoot Rory in the chest, who basically falls back into the light of the crack. The Doctor gets Amy into the TARDIS, and they kind of watch as Rory disappears from reality, as the crack swallows him, and then slowly disappears from Amy's mind. The Doctor is very sad about this, but has to return everybody to the surface, where he gives the raise your next generation to do better than you did style speech. Amy sees herself without Rory on the hillside, and the Doctor looks down at what he got out of the crack and realizes it's part of the TARDIS's police public call box sign. And I think that's about where it left off.
Pretty much. 5 minutes, 54 seconds.
Not bad for a two-parter.
By the way, one correction about what you made. That woman that stayed with the older guy, they were not married.
Oh,
Matter of fact, he kisses her at one point as things happen. She goes, "Oh, mine." He's like, as if you couldn't tell, and she just kind of giggles and goes with it.
well, they will be by the end of it.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, the implication is that they
After
both
100 years.
had a thing for each other. Yeah.
1,000 years.
After that's right. After 1,000 years.
Every time I watch that episode, I manually see them waking up in the Star Trek era. Because that could be a thing, but yeah.
As the Silurians come out and just look at everything that's going on and go, "Oh, bloody hell, we slept too long."
It's too long! Too long!
I didn't say the words right.
And by now, everyone should get that reference. If you don't, I feel sad for you.
If you're not getting it, then you've never seen the European or director's cut of Army of Darkness.
Shame.
I must admit, the first thing my mind went to was Angry Beavers, where they
No.
There's a scene at the end of Army of Darkness where he's supposed to take these drops, and each drop is supposed to make him sleep for a century. And if you watch the scene, he takes one too many drops because he goes 1, 2, 3,
Looks away,
and then there's a like a shaking of the cave he's in. 3, 4, 5, and so he takes one too many. In the American cut, it just goes back to him going back to modern times. But in the original European cut, he wakes up and goes out of the cave, and he's in like what looks to be London. As you can see the ruins of Big Ben with all these demons going all over the place.
Yeah.
And him going, "I slept too long. Too long," and he kind of
and it goes into manic yelling, which then goes into manic crazy laugh, which
Laughter.
Ash,
Yeah.
Which, if they were going to make a fourth Evil Dead movie, would have continued off of that.
Well, they have continued since then, but they continued off the American ending.
But they continued off the American ending where he made it back, only became a complete total asshole for a while.
Okay.
Although they were kind of not really paying attention to Army of Darkness when they made the Evil Dead series, because,
kind of, sort of. They could hint at it, but they didn't have rights to actually directly mention it, yeah.
But regardless, anyway, so let's talk about what we liked about these episodes. And Tim, you are first again.
Oh boy, I love being first again.
Sarcasm.
Yeah, damn, that's like 3 or 4 weeks in a row now.
It just
It's the first time it's not me.
Tim's like the new Matt, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I loved the power positivity and in this episode that the Doctor tries to bring to the table, and especially his interactions with the young boy and and him dealing with his dyslexia, which is I thought very tastefully done. And now that I think about that, this is a Chibnall episode, that sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sort of like a foreshadowing of things to come.
Yep, indeed. Okay. Anything else?
No, but I did think that this was one of Matt Smith's better episodes.
I'd have to agree with you. He's a little... He hasn't gone off the deep end yet.
Yeah, it's like the next season or two that he just becomes manic, and it's like, okay, come on.
Well, no, even Tenet had its manic moments. It's when he goes full on man-child.
Yeah.
That we have the issue.
Yeah, his manic is sadly his man-child, and that's where it's like, pull my hair out.
All right. So next would be Bill.
Okay. I like how there's absolutely no social commentary. April Fools. But no, one thing I really noticed as I was watching this was, and this is something I've heard also associated with certain characters in Moffat's run, but I kind of noticed it right off the bat with this episode, and that's that it can manage to present a masculine ideal that's alternative to toxic masculinity. Every man in this episode that I can think of manages both to be strong but not to be like overbearing or violent, and especially in, with, you mentioned the dyslexia thing, it altogether can just sets a great role model for kids who could use that sort of influence in their lives that are watching the show.
Yeah, there wasn't a really manly man.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't one of those annoying military types, yeah, except for on the other side, for oddly.
But at the same time, also, none of the men were like, and I mean, it's okay to have these characters, but like sometimes a show will try to go the exact opposite and have the kind of man that, especially people who are strongly in favor of a masculine ideal will criticize and be like, oh, the men are all wimps in this show or whatever, which is usually comedies, to be honest. But nobody's like that either. Everyone still can show how you can be, they're still showing how you can be strong without being violent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Brigadier's not around to be like, fuck it, just bomb
them. 5 rounds rapid.
Oh no, it was bomb them. We have not reviewed that episode yet.
That episode was bomb them, yeah, but
yeah. Yeah, they're still down there. Bomb them. That was, yeah.
Not the Brigadier's brightest moment.
No, yeah, the Doctor was right pissed back then, and he's trying not to have it happen again.
Right.
And it's just like, oh god.
To which, yeah, the Doctor in this one's just like, maybe this time everyone lives.
No, they don't. God damn it!
Shades of the Christmas invasion.
If Moffat wrote the episode, everyone would have lived.
Maybe.
I mean, this is under Moffat, so the person who.
Although this was before Moffat went hard down the hole.
No, this is where he started doing the fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember seeing that for coming out for season 5, and it's like he's basically doing Peter Pan.
But he hadn't slipped past the event horizon. Like in the previous episode to this, people died, and it was actually a Moffat script.
And yeah, but no, this is where he started going off the deep end, because here he killed Rory, except he didn't.
Oh, did he? Woo!
A theme we will
no,
see several times.
Pandorica opened the Big Bang. We know he didn't.
Ruin the surprise for the people who haven't seen it yet. Why don't you?
For the people who don't listen to our podcast.
Previous podcast.
Maybe they're trying to watch them in order.
Although, to be fair, I think that was one of our first podcasts.
No,
not the one of our first. That would have been like the first 2 or 3 years, maybe, but not the first.
No, not like, I mean.
Plus, we did do a podcast on Moffat's run
within our first year, so. I think.
I'm not even sure if it was our first year.
I didn't think so. I thought it wasn't that long. Well, I don't know. How long did we do the Pandorica Opens? The
Let's
Big
see.
Bang? Oh yeah, it was. It was episode 28 or 27. So wow, we did that a while ago. That was with Lucas. Jesus.
And I mean, not even that. Like, what was it like? I guess that we're at 300. Wasn't the 250th the Moffat kind of retrospective thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that probably would have come up again then.
Yeah, except for the fact that we never really retouched. By the point we did Pandorica Big Bang, I think we had already killed Fraps at that point and said, no, okay, we're
Start streaming, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's been much more stable. Thank you, OBS.
Because, God, those first few years was a nightmare. Or those first few episodes were a nightmare. But
well, the first year is a nightmare. We're just trying to get things running properly. We're just like, ah. And even when you thought I had it running right, something goes wrong.
So who's next?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've done Tim, Bill, it'd be Matt.
Be me. I have a good one. I've been holding on to this one, praying that no one else went into it. I like the upgrade to the Silurians.
And took mine. Yep. Yeah, it's really it is really a massive upgrade, and you can see.
You can see where they came with some things, and I'm going to share a side by side that I found, by the way, in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
You can see
And the
some
fact-
touches of it.
And the fact that
Yeah.
the masks that they wear for their military units maintain some of that old look.
Yeah, a little bit. They like sunk the eyes in and blackened them completely.
Yeah. I mean, I have seen people be like, oh, I wish this in-between design that they'd originally come up with, which actually does look pretty cool.
Yeah, there was an
wish
in-between
it,
design
like,
which looked cool too, but I have to say that as far as I'm concerned, the upgrade is still not a good upgrade.
Oh yeah, it's like, I think the only thing that I would have been like, oh, I wish they'd kept that is the third eye type thing.
Oh, the thing on the forehead?
Yeah, because it's like, that would have been cool.
If they'd had that on the masks, I could have bought it. Because that was kind of their control, their thermal control thing, if I recall.
In which
Well,
case,
it
yeah,
was
that
that,
would have been
and
on
I
the
think-
mask more
yeah.
likely.
It was essentially like the reason they have guns in this is because they don't have it.
What? I guess there's something to that effect, but I still would question having a weapon on an animal's forehead of any species.
It was
to be
essentially
honest.
like an IB, like he could like kill people with
Actually,
it.
instead of the I-beam, they got the new poison tongues now instead.
Yeah.
Which is a little more realistic.
Yeah, that's a little bit more realistic, especially for a reptile.
Yeah.
They decided to go that way with it, and I'm actually a little bit glad because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it makes more sense. The new makeup does have the side effect of making them look more human, which I'm not sure is a good thing or not.
Yeah, I'm
Well, being
fairly certain they were going for more expressive, but in the downside, unfortunately, it does make them look more human.
The other thing I think of it though too is that they're technically from the same planet too, humans and Silurians.
Yeah, and I mean,
But they
do flat
from
out
very different strands of evolution, though.
Yeah, but
I
the
mean, they
same
do
planet
flat out
hosts
call
similar
them-
creatures once in a while.
The thing is, I look at the side-by-side picture here.
Mm.
To the left, I see Doctor Who monster. To the right, Star Trek monster.
Kind of.
I mean, that's kind of the way it looks. I mean, all the over makeup job is standard Star Trek fare, because yet you can see the obvious two eyes that is human eyes, a nose, though heavily make-upped, and regular mouth. Whereas you look at the right and you're just like, that don't look fucking human.
Yeah, and at
It
least
looks
they
like
can
a rubber
actually use
monster,
their
but yeah.
mouths properly.
Yeah. It looks like a rubber monster, but it don't look human.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the thing about Star Trek aliens is they all look human with prosthesis. I mean, you look at the Cardassians, which are the if you look at Silurians and you look at the Cardassians,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing is they also reference that this is like a different
Species.
tribe of them.
Yeah.
It's like this isn't the same ones that he ran into before, so the fact that they look different is like kind of excusable.
Kind of, but still a heck of a switch.
And we have like, I mean, the Sea Devils are technically supposed to also be Silurians, but they're just like
Sea Devils would be another one I'd like
under
to see an
the sea
update
ones.
too, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And they were at least smart enough this time to not fuck it up like the Fifth Doctor and have them refer to themselves as Silurians, because that's supposed to be a name that they've been given, not their actual name.
Correct. Although I must admit I dislike the use of the term Homo reptile, as it would have been reptile sapien would have been better.
Right.
Because Homo reptile means ape reptile.
That's an eyebrow raise.
Yeah, they would not be a fan of that.
Which I guess is at least they never use the term to describe themselves. It's always the Doctor using it.
Yeah, I know, but that's a big smack to the Doctor, or in this case, the writer, who should have done a little more research there.
Yeah. Because it would make me wonder if there are scientists or whatever that were watching this a laugh out of that.
They're either laughing or cringing either way.
Yeah, the anthropologists are going, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
You're so stupid.
All right, so Thomas, what about you?
I must admit, I almost like main thing is the Amy Rory Doctor dynamic, just because it's like after I don't know if it was just after all the Torchwood, but I'm just like, oh my god, I haven't watched any Amy Rory Doctor stuff in so long that it was such a breath of fresh air to get back to these three. Like, honestly, one of my more so Amy, but Amy and Rory are definitely among like the upper thing, at least for new Who. I haven't seen enough of old Who to really count an overall, but
I much
companion-wise, these two are way up there for me, at least character-wise.
I prefer Doctor and Donna, really, but
Oh yeah, Doctor and Donna is like
the
top, and then these two would at least be either directly under there or still in like the top three.
yeah,
Donna's above them.
I still remember the superhero cafe Batman talking to the Doctor. Amy, you could have gone back and saved Amy.
Save Amy.
All right. So there's not much left on my liked list which hasn't been touched. I guess really what I could say is the production value. I really like the production value, the set work. Everything in here looked really nice. It looked different enough, but believable that it just felt right. It was one of those two-parters that, worked. And it just felt really good. Okay, so what did we dislike about the episode? Tim?
Oof.
There were moments when some of the supporting characters that the Doctor had to do with, went through this negativity that I didn't appreciate, Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor is trying his best, and like the moments when Rory says, where is Amy, and I'll get her back, like you should have saved her, like oh, okay, he didn't really need that at the moment, and so where's the kid, oh, he went off to get his headphones and you let him, moments like that really irk me. And the fact that there was more than one really bothered me, but not that much, but still.
Okay.
All right.
Noise shot him moments. Okay.
Okay. So this is kind of a counterpart to my previous comment, and that's I'm pretty sure all of the women in here, except for Amy, are pretty much just like, I don't know, violent, conservative, generally in the wrong. Not quite as much with the woman who was a diplomat alongside Amy, but even she was parroting old, relatively xenophobic lines until someone kind of cut her off. And it's like, I don't think there's a single woman other than Amy who is portrayed as anything other than, or at least, especially the other three women, I'll say, were all over violent, kind of to the point where they could have used a counterbalance.
I thought they did have one. What about what's her face? Natarine?
Well, that I was saying, she wasn't she at least wasn't violent and going way too far, but even she was parroting xenophobic lines about, oh, there's no resources. Never mind the fact that there's plenty of resources that are just being stockpiled by billionaires, but
Mm.
she wasn't as bad as the others, but I would not consider a counterpoint,
Where was she saying there
a
wasn't
counterbalance.
resources?
When they were
when they
arguing
sit
about
at
the Silurians come to the
cable,
surface.
yeah.
That is an issue.
That is an issue, to be
Like,
honest,
yeah, she
because
was
that's an
going,
entire
like-
race of people suddenly added to the planet.
Yeah,
and
she was.
we're
Mhm.
having issues getting food to people. Yes,
But
there's
but
some
that's the
places
thing. It's known. It is known by scientific study. We do not lack the food. We just are stockpiling it.
It's not just food, though, Bill. There's a lot
Or
of other
any
stuff too.
resources in general. They're there, but they're being kept away from people. There is no lack.
Yeah. But even then, like her thing was like we're struggling with what we have, or like something about like struggling to manage the resources we have now, or something with like the 6 billion whatever it is people on Earth right now. Throwing like that much more up there is going to be a bit awkward. But it's like it's the thing that she comes around. She's the one that's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the logistics of this is a nightmare, but then, they talk it through, and it's a matter of the Silurian dude basically being like, well, we're like a highly advanced society. If
Mm-hmm.
we come up, we can basically solve all your problems. Because that's just it. She does have that. I think that's like it's more so the fact that she's like, well, what do we get out of this? It's like she's thinking it more of a what do we get out of helping you,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I mean about her not exactly being a counterbalance. She's still having that whole like us versus them right wing mentality.
But she ends up being like
I don't really
talked
see it as a right wing. I
down.
see it as a business person.
Yeah.
Is the same thing,
more
really.
business.
When you're
Mhm.
negotiating with somebody else, that's kind of a standard way of looking at things.
Yeah.
Mm,
I think you're throwing words in there that don't quite mesh.
It's more so the mum that's like just flat out, well, fuck it, it's too
Yeah.
late.
Yeah.
We can't.
And
You shouldn't
and the
even try.
two Silurian sisters.
Which were both played by Neve
Mm.
McIntosh, by the
Mm.
way, who you might know as later going on to play
Yep.
Madame Vastra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, both the
She's
sisters.
she's just apparently just the woman that we keep putting in the lizard makeup.
Yep. Probably we have the face mask. We're just going to keep hiring her to play Silurians.
And we'll just
Which
keep
is-
remolding it.
Which is why I once rewatched this episode trying to figure out Vastra's backstory, and it just made me more confused.
It's
Well,
not the
especially
right
since-
group.
Especially since, well, Vastra could have been a sister to these ones,
Maybe.
but she somehow got thawed out in the Victorian era.
I was going to say, except this one's set in the future, and she, is from the Victorian era.
Yeah.
Is she from the Victorian era, or did she get
Yes.
sent back to the Victorian era? Because she's been outside of it too.
I think an episode mentioned that the doctor found her like in Victorian London,
Okay.
Mhm.
eating tourists or something.
Yeah, as far as we're aware, her origin is that she was awoken from hibernation in the 19th century.
Just if they haven't
yeah,
done it
what-
already, give Big Finish a while. They'll sort it out.
Yeah.
It was apparently originally listed on the Doctor Who website. Was the fact that she was woken in 19th century when her lair was disturbed during the construction of the London Underground.
Ah.
Okay.
And basically, she was initially enraged. She slaughtered 5 commuters before being pacified by the Doctor. And then she overcame it and joined London society as basically a consulting detective.
As you do.
And apparently was possibly the inspiration for Sherlock Holmes. And amongst her unseen adventures is the capture of Jack the Ripper, whom she eats.
Of course.
Yeah.
As you do.
So who are we at for what we just? I think Matt. We were at what?
Yeah.
Mine is kind of on the same vein as Bill's, which is the one thing that kept pulling me out of this story was people doing really stupid things. And I hate to have to say it, but it seems like the some of the women, the two warlike women from the Silurians, and the one mother who gets overreactive and starts killing one of them, which is going to start the war. It's just like, oh, for crying out loud!
Mm-hmm.
It's literally
It's
been
like-
chanted over and over again. Don't do this. We're doing it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see like both sides of it because it's like at one point one of them's being egged on, like the mum's being egged on, and she's like
That's when you leave the room.
worried for a
that's-
kid and all
It-
that.
Even that's the thing. If you're being egged on by someone saying, "I want a war to start,"
Yeah, so that's where it gets a bit silly, but it is the idea of like,
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a thing in fiction anyway.
Yeah,
So,
it's
like,
a
the
thing, but it's
strike
also a
villain
really
down
dumb
with
thing.
all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
Yeah, yeah. Where
Pretty
it's
much.
just like emotional manipulation is what that whole thing is. Is like, oh yeah, like you're never gonna see your kid again anyway. Fuck.
And that's when we walk out of the
and
room.
all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Is if anything, I feel like that whole thing is like, well, why wasn't Rory keeping an eye on her? Like,
Because
I feel like that's
at
more
the
the
time
other
he was trying to
characters
patch
being
up the
dumb
grandfather.
as well.
Yep.
True.
Yeah,
I
there was
guess.
that. He had that whole "I'm a nurse. You should have told me" scene.
Mm-hmm.
There were just too many balls, I think, and not enough jugglers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, with some of their decisions, you can kind of chalk it down to like either emotional manipulation or split second decisions and not well thought out decisions. But yeah, there is some other stuff where it's like, well, shouldn't these characters have prevented this from happening? Oh well.
All right. So, Thomas, how about you? What did you dislike about the episode overall?
God, I feel like there was a few things, but as much as watching the scene again made me a bit emotional, I'm just gonna have to go with the death of Rory in this case. Even though it's like, oh, it's the first time we didn't know who was gonna die, like as often as Kenny or something. But like, it's still just like, dude,
this is
like
where we
the
first kick off the ball.
this is
Yeah.
Yeah, this is his first series, and you're already killed it. Like, if they killed him off and it had been permanent and he'd never come back, okay. But the fact that he comes back in the same fucking series is like, are you kidding?
Yeah,
like,
it did establish him as being the Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like, for fuck's sake. If they kept it and he'd just been dead forever, it would have been like, okay, fine. But even then, it's still like, dude, this is his first series. Why would you kill this guy off? And it mainly bugs me because I like their dynamic. I liked them as a couple. They were like, it was almost like Moffat at first was trying to make up for how shitty Mickey was handled. Where he was just like a third wheel. Whereas Rory, is there because Amy wants him to be there. So it's just like the fact that it's like, nah, fuck it. We need to have just the Doctor and Amy for a while. When you could have easily just dropped him home. Like maybe this was getting too much for him and he just wanted to go home for a while. It's like, you don't have to fucking kill him off.
They killed him off, turned him into a freaking auton, possibly undid that when they redid the universe. Yeah.
Undid it, but they kept the memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Rory
And from just there on is the boy who waited and occasionally gets knocked off and brought back again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So that was Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
What I dislike about the serial is much like the earlier episode in the season, Victory of the Daleks, it is trying really hard to remake Doctor Who and the Silurians.
Yeah.
And Inferno at the same time.
A little bit of Inferno, yeah.
At least
A
bits
little,
of it.
a little,
Not
a
not
little,
the plot,
yeah.
not the plot, but bits of it.
just the drilling part, but
Mm-hmm.
just the drilling
Generally,
part, but the entire mentality of the one rogue Silurian who basically tries to start a war is directly from the original. It's pretty much the same story over again, only this time it ends with them going to sleep instead of getting bombed by the Brigadier. It's
that and no like scientist helping them out, no Earthling scientist helping them out.
yeah, and the very sight of them isn't driving people to become cavemen. Yeah. But it's just like trying to take the Silurians and try to make it better, but still it's minus points in originality.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to create your own story, you basically had to go and retell that one.
Well, in all fairness, though, it's been over 30 years since that story was told, so there's a little bit of, okay, we do need to recap it a little bit. But yeah, it does take away.
I understand it more with Victory of the Daleks because Power of the Daleks at that point was missing.
That's true, too.
Whereas this one is available on VHS and DVD.
I'm about to say, if it's not available on DVD, no one's watching.
Well, oh yeah, I guess there
unless
were
you're a
DVDs
hipster.
by 2010, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now let's go to favorite scene. And Tim, you're first.
Okay, I have so many favorite scenes in this, but I'll pick one. I love the scene where they're getting ready for like whatever's coming up to come up, and the doctor goes to the mom, and the mom is like stockpiling a bunch of weapons like knives and even a cricket bat, and the doctor says, "Just I'm asking you, put it away," like. Just that that moment I love because Matt Smith seems so scary in that episode.
I
that
don't know if scary is the emotion I got out of him, but okay.
or
yeah,
or it's just that not scary, but a little like there's an edge to him that is like
Please,
like
please
this is a line you don't want to cross.
Trying to be as nice as possible, but please don't. Yeah.
Yeah, like trying to be intimidating without being like domineering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Bill, how about you?
I think I'm going to say the negotiation scene, just because it seems like, I don't know, it seems like basically the good ending, even though it's basically being set up for tragedy, but it seems to be, it such a good thing for them to work toward, and it's the logical thing to do in that situation. It's as compared to the scenes where everybody acts stupid and kills everybody, or any other trope that could happen. But at this, there was somewhere else I was also going with that, and I took too long talking, and I lost the thread. I lost it. I lost whatever else I was saying.
God damn it, Bill.
But oh yeah, that's right. And also the fact that the doctor's not like taking control and being like, this is what Earth is going to be like, yada yada. He's, giving it to the Earthlings and saying, make your future.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that they never even got as far into as the original because it just was all military action.
Mm-hmm.
They never really got it. So the doctor was pleased. It's like, I've got them to negotiate.
Right.
Yes, and then it all goes wrong.
But it's I like scenes like that so much more than the ones where the doctor just comes in and he's like, here's how we're going to fix all your problems. This is how you're going to restructure your entire culture. And I'm just like, pretty sure time travelers in general are not supposed to do that.
No, but those are the points where the doctor's like, okay, I'm freaking fed up now. You all have bunged it up enough. I'm going to come in, and this is how you're going to do it, because it's the only way I can see that we don't all end up killing each other. All right. But no, I mean, here, yes, see, they have a chance to sit down and let this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, how about you? What's your favorite scene?
Oh, favorite scene. Oh gosh, I'm trying to decide which one. Dang it. I'm gonna go with the Earthlings, the humans, rather, setting up for the oncoming attack, supposedly, and just like all the good pointers that the doctor is giving people, like, yeah, if you guys can do that, we got that done. Give the kids something to do. You're dyslexic. We'll give this a try anyways. You got some time. It's no panic. And just the way he wonderfully coached the humans into being a cohesive unit for at least a little while.
Yeah, like I was impressed by the hell out of that scene myself. Like that was almost one of my, like, but like it was unbelievable how much they were able to accomplish in 12 minutes. I remember like thinking, like it would have taken me 12
the only
minutes to
the only
untangle
problem I had with the whole thing
wires.
was that they decided the fit themselves into this church with a hard open door, and you just know something's gonna happen there.
My problem with that scene is like, okay, we've got 12 minutes or shit's happening. Okay, everybody pile into the TARDIS. It'll be the safest place.
That should have been, but at the same time, the Doctor doesn't always want to give away either. So
He winds up with all of them going in there by the end anyway.
Everyone going down there by the end, yeah.
He doesn't keep a supply of retcon in the TARDIS.
Yeah. You would have thought he could have rated the Torchwood 3. Yeah.
It's like, all right, you guys wait here. I need to make a pit stop before dropping you back off in your homes.
Now here, have a soda. Here. All right. That was Matt.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Thomas, your favorite scene?
This is actually, like, I'm kind of torn, but screw it. I'm gonna go with Amy once Rory has been wiped from her mind, and just the way she just plays that as, yep, okay, that was interesting. And like the whole thing of her just not, it's like nothing, and then she's like, huh, I feel like this, like, I almost thought I saw someone else. Oh well. Because it's like, it kind of gives me, it's kind of funny because read the Silurians. Yeah. There's also her kind of dismissal of that kind of stuff actually reminds me of the game where Zoe has that little moment where she's kind of like unsure about something. And it's like, is something wrong? Oh yeah, I think I forgot something important, but it must have been nothing. Where it's like, damn, that's a very as quick as that is, that's a very powerful thing. That's just like, she's just completely forgot everything bar her first adventure with the Doctor. In this case, someone's completely forgot someone that, they were going to get married to. So it's like, geez. Like, it was almost, for me, going to be Rory's death, because as much as that pisses me off, that what ends up happening, that still tugged at me. But I was like, to me, it's more powerful to just have the, yep, okay, nothing's wrong kind of thing. And it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean, I could have seen it, if they had brought Rory back with the rebuilding of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you never saw Rory until the end of the Big Bang, where they recreated everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But
That would have made a lot more sense considering the cracks weren't like spitting other people out in weird places. Like if they were going to do that, they should have had it like foreshadowed, like River gets pulled into a crack and then just pops up somewhere or something. Which would have made River in this season more make more sense.
But all right, so my favorite scene, I think, is the one where they're trying to decontaminate the doctor, and he's like, "Nope, don't! I need those." And basically proving that he's a different biology. And at the end of it, when he gets out, it's like, "Does anybody have any celery?" I'm just like, yes.
Does anyone have a celery? No, you wouldn't have celery. Not the right biome. Was it like tomatoes or something he brought up next?
Yeah. But it's just
I think
celery
he was like
reference.
rambling. I think he was like lightheaded and rambling at that point.
Yeah, basically.
Not that he needs to be lightheaded to ramble.
But the celery reference was just perfect. I'm like, yes, they referenced the celery. All right, least favorite scene, Tim.
The scene where the I'm terrible at remembering names. The Silurian
Reptar? No, wait, that's the dinosaur.
Woman is all like, "You claim to come in peace, and yet you're holding someone hostage," and is like, that does not negate the coming in peace. That argument does not hold water. Like, you're stupid, lizard woman.
Yeah.
You're a stupid lizard woman.
And it's like, how many of our people do you have captured?
Mm-hmm.
Seriously?
Plus like the
actually,
Silurians attack them.
Well, she doesn't claim to come in peace.
Yeah. But also, is like this whole thing started with the drill. It was like, I'm amazed. No one ever thinks to have a scene where a Silurian says, "Hey, why don't we send someone up saying, hey guys, we live down here. Could you knock it off with the drilling? Instead of going straight to, we must destroy these invaders."
In part because that is the Silurian mentality, is the fact that apes are lesser creatures. It has been an existing thing because, billions of years ago, when the Silurians were the dominant species on the planet, apes were barely evolved, no better than animals. And Silurian mentality still sees that. It's only a few of them that can see them as the evolved species they are. Like the scientist can see it.
That's because
I
also
think
the scientists
the elder can eventually see it, but the military one is just like, no, you're just a stupid ape.
Yeah, it's also because the scientist one also said his particular family has been like periodically poking around with humans and checking them out more so than anyone else.
Yeah.
So he actually legit knows what's going on up there and is going, oh, okay, interesting.
I mean, the Silurian mentality actually kind of matches the Dalek one from Doomsday. This isn't war, it's pest control,
Pretty much.
All right, so who are we up to? Least favorite scene? Bill, is it?
Yes, I think I'm next. So I'm going to go with, I get the first time, I kind of get the second, but by the third time, the doctor is like, and by the way, you're the worst of humanity. Teach your son to be better. I'm like, okay, at this point, you're just like abusing the woman. Either let it go or do something about it. That's too much at that point.
I'll
He
admit
had
that.
come so far, though. He had come so far, and she freaking ruined it.
If anything, it's kind of surprising
my
that he
connection
wasn't
stuttered
more
just enough that I didn't hear any of your reaction there.
I had said he had come so far, though, and she freaking ruined it.
Yeah,
All
like I
because of
get why he
more
was
impulse
pissed in the
control.
moment, but like this was like after the fact, and he's just like, yeah, I need to get one last dig in there.
It's not so much he's trying to give her a dig. He's like literally he's hoping that she will help her son make the improvement that needs to happen eventually.
Yeah.
It's not
Which-
like he's.
yeah, but-
it's not
but the
like he's
way
like
he
sitting
said
there verbally abusing
Yeah,
her,
the-
just
the
telling
like-
her how
yeah.
Like
useless
it's
she
not
is.
like he said, teach your son this moment and help him learn from it. He's like, teach him to be better than you are because you're a bad person.
Well, from what I can remember, it was more like her admitting her wrongdoing and him being like, well, all you can really do is teach him,
trying to
like,
try to make up
and
for it and
make
teach
the
him.
next
Yeah,
generation better, yeah. Because by then he's not so much ragging on. It's more so when
the more the one where he was really bad was the emotional outburst when he first finds out. Yeah.
But
I
that
mean, if
one
this
was
was
more
Tenet, if
understandable.
this
That
was-
was in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, if this was Tenet, he would have just been shouting at her the whole time.
Basically, yeah.
I mean,
So
take
she
a
got
look
off
at the
lightly.
doctor's daughter.
Mhm.
Let this be a society who never would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, Matt, your least favorite scene.
Least favorite scene. I think when the mother convinces her father to start the drill again, it's like, haven't we done enough damage?
Mhm.
Have we not learned our lesson yet? Because you're only going to make it
Yeah.
worse.
That was the latest in a string
Mm.
of stupid decisions.
What was that? Sorry.
The grandfather starting up being convinced to start up the drill before they go down.
He didn't though.
He
he
started
said
on a
afterward
timer.
that he did. That she talked him into it.
But he said he had self-destructed instead.
He had it on a timer. They didn't self-destruct it until after they set up the stuff underground, Randy.
Yeah.
To counteract
Because
it.
Yeah,
they
like-
came out. There's only 10 seconds left.
Yes,
they came
because
out
of the
and blew
thing they
itself-
did underground, Randy.
Yeah, they like. There's the bit where the mother is bringing up that they've set the drill to start going again, and the woman who's into the older guy is like, "What?" And he's just kind of like, "I didn't have a choice."
Right.
So he admits to having put the timer on to start the drill again.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's literally their
When the
last
funny
minute.
thing is, I feel like the easy way around that would have been to have him trick his daughter into thinking he has, but not
Mhm.
actually doing it.
Yeah, that
That's
would have been
what
a
I
wiser
thought
choice,
happened.
But then in that whole climax, he would have been like, "Oh, don't worry, guys, it's not actually coming."
I mean, he could have gone
it would
along
have been
with
one
it
less
just
thing to
see
balance.
how
But
far.
yeah,
Yeah.
they still had a lot of worries right there and then because they had to get out of there and everything else.
Mm.
All right. Are we up to Thomas now?
I think so.
I'd say so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's more so a nitpick, and just because it kind of bugs me because of like later stuff, but the bit where it's clear that Amy and Rory are totally fine to the point that they can actually go back and wave at their past selves.
Mm-hmm.
Considering what happens to them in the end, it's like, oh well, this episode doesn't make sense anymore. In
It
hindsight,
does. It's just a matter of what part of temporal physics you believe in.
It's
Well, I mean, Rory has like it's clearly Rory from that. Oh my God, what's he called again? The Dream Master or whatever. It's clearly Rory with that shitty wig with the ponytail off in the distance. I don't know how I can tell, but I can tell. It's clearly him in that wig to make him look older. So it's like, okay, so this is them 10 years in the future, which is like a 2020 something. Somehow here when technically they wouldn't be there, most likely. Or at least the doctor would have been with them.
especially
Would have had to.
considering that they never did get that happy ending.
No.
At
Yeah.
least not in the future. They got their ending together in the past, but yeah.
Again, but it depends on which part of temporal physics you believe in. Everything gets changed eventually. Whoops. Just wrote ourselves out of that one happening, didn't we?
Yeah, which I
We've
guess
created a time paradox.
Snake, you have created a time paradox. Dun, 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 dun.
So I guess it's not like the thing themselves. It's more so like other shit making me just realize, well, shit, this never happened
Mm-hmm.
in hindsight. God
All
damn
right.
it.
So my least favorite scene is the killing of what's her face, the
Alea, I think.
Alea,
Yeah.
yeah.
because you're just
Mm.
like, God fucking damn it. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
such a god damn it moment.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
That was the first really stupid decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was an ultimate, like, I mean, he pretty much had put her aside and said, she's our key to getting back your
Yeah.
son. And
Your
then she
son
Mm.
will
goes
die
and
if you
fucking,
hurt this.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If
I
you
mean, it
kill
is
her,
also kind of.
if you kill her, I can't guarantee I get anybody back.
Mm-hmm.
And then she fucking kills her.
It's also kind of weird because she only shocks her. So it's like, is it just that she's a Silurian that it affects him? Or did she shock her a few more times off screen? Or something?
Yeah, I think she
We
just
saw her
kept
get
tasing
shocked
her while she was
twice.
off screen. Yeah.
Hmm.
If you tase someone enough, their heart will eventually stop.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe the
Also,
armor is like really sucky and has something to do with it, but I can't get. Yeah, there's something weird about how she dies. There's something that doesn't quite mesh. It could I would chalk it up in the current form that it's a Silurian thing apparently, but I can't guarantee that.
Mm.
Yeah, it was just a moment of.
But either way, it's a moment of stupid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it's one of those things where, like, the last 10 to 15 minutes probably wouldn't happen. If, like,
If it didn't
she
happen,
didn't
yeah.
survive.
Yeah,
but
it's a stupid plot, is what you're saying. An idiot
yeah,
plot.
it was a needed plot, but it was really stupid how they got there.
The plot
Granted, I
relied on
guess
half the cast being idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I guess the easiest fix there would have just been having her go up to her and force her to tase her to death. Like, she just goes, aha! Grabs the thing, because she hasn't got her hands bound necessarily.
The
she can
easy
move them.
fix would have been
And-
like they argue
like-
about something, they struggle for a moment, and she falls and hits her head.
Mm-hmm. Or she manages to escape somehow.
Mm.
And
Or
got
just outright commit suicide, because she's like, well, fuck it, my death is gonna start the war, so I'll just kill myself. And blame it on them. Because
Yeah, but then you
them?
can't have that arc like it's nobody's fault at that point. So it doesn't work from a narrative standpoint.
Mm.
it's still one of those things that it's just like,
Yeah, it's just there's no way of arguing around it. It's what it is, but it's just like ugh.
yeah.
Mm.
Work
All
yourself
right,
into a
so-
dumb corner.
Let's go to our final thoughts. Tim, you're first.
Final thoughts. It was very nice getting back to Matt Smith after a while away from him. You know, we went through Capaldi and Tennant and Whitaker. And this was a good episode to return to Matt Smith on, I think. Some of it was brought down by some of like the negativity and the stupidity of the other characters, but the hope and optimism of the Doctor pulled me along. And as we were talking, I had this thought that in a future episode there needs to be a scene where they travel into the future to this the Silurian civilization, and there are like 100-foot tall marble statues of Nassim and the old man, like sort of like the in like a Hall of Legends type thing, like sort of like hints at like what happened in the Silurian culture in their past.
I think that was above their budget.
Well, I mean,
Plus
in a future episode, like that Chris Chibnall makes,
Mm.
or maybe not 100-foot tall statues, but like just something that like a bit like a continuity nod is what I'm asking for.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chibnall seems to be kicking much of whatever he did before behind to the curb. So,
Are you saying we're not going to get a sequel to Power of Three?
oh, thank you, no.
Jesus. Yeah, the time to even attempt to follow up on that is so far.
The power of let's just forget
Well,
this.
You say that, yet this is a sequel to the Silurians from 1970.
Yeah, but that was such an
Yeah.
anticlimax. The Power of Three.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
The most mighty of anticlimaxes, it still leaves a hole in my stomach.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Is there anything else, Tim?
That was pretty much all I had to say.
Okay, Bill.
Okay, so my audio kept cutting out while Tim was talking, so hopefully I can talk and you can hear me.
Yes.
But I'm kind of conflicted on this episode because there are some things that are very good, and then there's the idiot plot, and that kind of drags things down because it's so essential to the episode that it's hard to consider it a nitpick or overlook it. But I do think they touched on some very interesting things, and I just wish they had kind of ironed out a way to make the plot work without the characters just losing all their brain cells. So I guess it comes out to be kind of middle of the road, and that's about it for me.
All right. Matt?
I do feel like yes, they unneedingly cornered themselves in the middle of the plot, and they really didn't need to go that way. Other than that, the makeup effects were really well done. The couple of CGI effects that they needed to do were also really well done. They did the far shots of the Silurian home area. The few laser blasts that did have to go off went off rather well. The effect of people falling through the ground that was done a couple of times and done successfully as well. It could really have gone into a silly, quick, sandy kind of place, and they managed to avoid it for the most part. I also love the fact that there's another favorite moment of mine that the Doctor sees this cold-blooded creature running around the forest and goes, "I know who you are now," which is just like, oh, thank goodness. And we continue on with the plot, such
Anything
as it
else,
is.
Matt?
That's about it. I think people are going to hit most of the other marks.
Okay, Thomas?
I honestly forget what my thoughts on this episode have been prior to this rewatch, but I still quite enjoyed it. Like, there's issues with it. It's not perfect. I mean, granted, what is? But as far as, especially when we're considering Chibnall's efforts for Doctor Who, the lowest still being Power of Three for me. This is, while this is probably not his best, for even Doctor Who, I would definitely put this in the stuff because it's good, not great. I love Amy, Rory, and the Doctor. So even though this is the episode where we lose Rory for the first time, it's still nice to see them together, and it's like, oh, it honestly, it makes me want to watch more stuff. Though it's kind of funny that this is this is two episodes that fall into the trap of, pretty sure the episode before him is a gut punch, and then Vincent and the Doctor comes right after this. So it's like, oh Jesus.
Just hit us harder in the feels, why don't you, right?
Yeah, it seems like this could have been spaced out a bit. So
or at least attempt to hit our feels.
But yeah, for something trying to essentially redo a 7-part story, I mean, you know, for modern Who, it's about as good as you're gonna get for that kind of thing. Yeah, I feel like the only effects issue I had was there's like one scene that I would have probably brought up for worst if I was being really nitpicky, where it's very clear that they're running past a green screen. But yeah, aside from that, really enjoyed this. This is definitely Matt Smith before he gets annoying. And why I still think he's not necessarily one of like the best Doctors, because no bad actor has played the Doctor yet. But I feel like he gets a lot more crap than he should. But in any case, I would definitely say people should check this out and avoid the goddamn hell out of Power of Three. If you want to see something that's Chibnall, that isn't Torchwood, but is still good, watch this.
All right, you done?
Yep.
All right. So my final thoughts are this is a good episode, though it has, first of all, it loses some originality for being largely derivative from the Silurians back in 1970. It also loses a bit by basically taking some really stupid turns with the characters. On the upside, the special effects and production values are really nice. The chemistry between Smith, Gillian, and Darvill is really good. And this is before they managed to overly Flanderize Smith's character to the point that he's a colossal man-child. All in all, it's watchable, but it is not the best thing to ever hit Doctor Who by a far. It's probably decent, in my opinion. Okay, let's go to ratings. I believe Tim was first.
Yep.
Yep. And I will give this to start off with the 4 stars.
Okay, 4.0. And then I believe it's Bill.
I think I'm going to go with a 3.5.
0.5. Okay, Matt.
I've been arguing with myself back and forth, and it's the same as the other two I just mentioned. I think I'm sticking with a 4.
4. Thomas.
I'm gonna have to agree with Matt and Tim and give this a 4.
All right.
Ooh.
And I am going to give it a 3.5. Because, like I said, it's watchable, but not the greatest. And between us all, that averages out to a 3.8. Which is not going to make this the most high-ranking thing we ever have.
Nope. Didn't expect it to, but I wasn't expecting to have 3 4s either, so.
With a 3.8, Hungry Earth Cold Blood comes in at number 164 of 289 things reviewed.
Top half.
So in the bottom half. No, the bottom.
Wait, no, never mind. Yeah.
140s. So
Before.
Yeah, it won't be 140. It's just on the bottom half.
yep, it is on par with The Keeper of Trekken, Boomtown, Ghostlight, Enemy of the World, Girl in the Fireplace, End of the World, Robot of Sherwood, Extremis, Pyramid of the End of the World, Lie of the Land, The Time Monster, and Smith and Jones. It is better than The Moonbase, The Daleks, Flatline, Smile, Claws of Axos, Dragonfire, and is not as good as Power of the Daleks, oddly enough, Gardens of the Dead, The Chase, Blink, Monster of Peladon, Kerblam, wow, Into the Dalek, Warrior's Gate, Colony in Space, Brain of Morbius, The Deadly Assassin, and Knock Knock. So there we go, 164 out of 289. That's all we have to say about the Hungry Earth Cold Blood.
Alrighty, Bill. Bill?
Bill. Oh no.
Did we lose a Bill? He's not talking.
I'm sure everybody already liked the video and subscribed and commented by now, right?
Yep.
And oh, I'm hearing something cutting in and out.
God damn it. Bill, can you hear us, Bill?
No.
Test.
Can you hear us?
Okay.
I sent him a message.
Oh. So yeah. Follow us on Twitch. Subscribe on YouTube if I'm sure you've already done that, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
All right. So next week, there will be no podcast next week as we'll be taking a week off for our season break. But we'll be back on the 17th of April with season 12 and our new event, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh boy.
We are starting with The Good with the Ark, written by Paul Erickson and Leslie Scott, and starring William Hartnell as the Doctor, Peter Purvis as Stephen Taylor, and Jackie Lane as Dodo Chaplet. So see you in 2 weeks.
All right. See you all later. Have a good evening.
Bye bye.